It began in January of 2025. At first, just a strange patch of static. Shortwave operators picked it up late at night, buried between the chatter of storm warnings and maritime beacons. A thin, metallic hiss. Too steady to be weather, too rhythmic to be noise. It seemed harmless an oddity for insomniacs and radio hobbyists. But then came the whispers. Operators swore they heard faint voices threading through the static. Not language exactly, but syllables too deliberate to dismiss, like someone breathing syllables into a microphone half a world away. The first reports called it trick of fatigue, pareidolia, the brain seeking patterns where there were none. Yet within weeks, listeners began to dream. A woman in Sao Paulo reported waking with the taste of rust in her mouth. A truck driver in Kansas said his dreams were full of corridors that stretched forever, lined with radios humming the same hiss. A teenager in Kyoto drew the same image over and over again in his school books, a spire of black metal rising from an ocean, wires spilling from it like roots. The unsettling part was not the images themselves. It was their consistency. People who had never met described identical details. When some compared notes online, they realized they had all dreamt of the same shadow moving through those endless halls, a shape glimpsed only at the edges of vision. By March, the phenomenon had spread far beyond hobbyists. The signal leaked into car stereos, televisions, even old cassette tapes. Hospitals reported a spike in patients with auditory hallucinations, people insisting that the radios in waiting rooms were addressing them by name. Some reacted with quiet dread, others with violence. In London, a bus driver swerved into traffic after screaming that the voice was inside his head. In Delhi, two siblings attacked their parents, whispering in unison, "We must clear the way." Governments took notice. The United States labeled the signal an anomalous broadcast of unknown origin. Russia jammed entire frequency ranges. Japan urged citizens not to listen. Conspiracy forums exploded with theories. Alien transmissions, Cold War psyops, the voice of God itself. But the nightmares continued. At MIT, a team of linguists attempted to isolate fragments of the signal. When slowed to 100 speed, the static revealed faint tonal shifts, not random structured, repeated, almost syllabic. One researcher, Dr. Eliana Moritz, disappeared after spending 3 nights in a lab with a recording on loop. When colleagues found her office, the walls were covered in jagged spirals drawn in ink, spirals that tightened until they vanished into nothing. Her computer screen was still on, the cursor blinking in a single unfinished sentence. It's not broadcasting, it's listening. By summer, the signal was everywhere. Radios bled it, power lines carried it. People reported hearing it without equipment. A faint buzz inside their teeth, a whisper from behind drywall. Communities fractured. Some turned the phenomenon into religion, meeting in abandoned warehouses to chant along with the static. Others barricaded themselves indoors, smashing radios and televisions, terrified of contamination. The dreams deepened. Shared nightmares grew longer, more coherent. Listeners described walking further into those endless corridors, closer to the black spire. Some never woke. They were found in their beds, eyes open, bodies shriveled as though starved of something unseen. In October, a global task force triangulated the source. The signal was not coming from space, nor from any human-made satellite. Instead, its strongest emissions radiated upward from the Mariana Trench. A deep-sea probe was dispatched. Its final transmission lasted 12 minutes. The video showed descending darkness, pressure gauges screaming red, the creak of metal under crushing weight. Then something impossible. At 36,000 feet, the probe's lights reflected off a structure rising from the trench floor, a tower of corroded metal, hundreds of meters tall, covered in pulsating cables that writhed like veins. And then, a flicker, something opened, a hole, a mouth, an aperture vast enough to swallow the probe hole. Inside, faint lights shimmered like stars, except they shifted when observed, rearranging into symbols no one could bear to look at directly. The feed cut to black. The world above changed overnight. The signal grew deafening. Cities drowned in it. Sleep became impossible without drugs, yet sleep was dangerous. Those who dreamt too deeply never returned. Violence spread like infection. Families tore themselves apart. Governments collapsed under waves of synchronized hysteria. Some whispered that it wasn't madness at all, that the signal was instructions, a pattern pressed into human mind, rewriting it. In the final broadcast of failing news stations, reporters no longer spoke with their own voices. They mouthed words in harmony, their tones warped hollow. The corridors are opening. The tower is awake. We are becoming the signal. And then the screens went dark. No one knows how many remain. Those who resist hear it still, a low static beneath every sound, like blood rushing in the ears. Those who surrender vanish into dream, their bodies slack, their minds walking the endless halls toward the black spire. And somewhere, far below the ocean surface, that tower hums patient, eternal listening, waiting for the last of us to answer.